Hello friends, today we'll be reading Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King, read by one of my 8th grade friends,
Deja Batiste.
Make sure you subscribe.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents loved him very much. Martin Luther King had the same name as his father, except for one thing. His father was called Martin Luther King Sr. Martin was called Martin Luther King Jr. Martin went to elementary school, high school, and college in Atlanta. He was a good student. Later, he went to Divinity School in Pennsylvania. Martin became a pastor, just like his dad, at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. They were both called Reverend, the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Martin's job as a minister was to help people in need. He visited sick people in the hospital and made them feel better. He asked people not to fight with each other. He said that there were peaceful ways to solve problems. And like his father, Martin led people in prayer and song. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is famous because he helped our country change some of its laws. A law is like a rule. Once there was a law in some places that said only white people could sit in the front of the bus, and that black people had to sit in the back. Martin Luther King said the law needed to be changed. Rosa Parks and other people helped him change it. Now all people can sit in any empty seat they like. Once there were laws in some places that said that African Americans could only use certain restaurants and drinking fountains. Martin Luther King and many other people helped change these laws. Now all people can share the same restaurants and drinking fountains. Once there was a law in some places that said that black children and white children couldn't go to school together. Martin Luther King and other people, including many very brave children, had this law changed too. Now black children and white children can go to school together. Martin Luther King had a special talent for leadership. When he spoke, people listened. Poor people, rich people, white people, black people, and people from all around the world listened when Martin Luther King spoke. Many helped him work, march, sing, and pray for justice. In the summer of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the most famous speech of his life. He gave it outdoors to 250,000 people who had to come to Washington, D.C. to ask the president for jobs and freedom for black people. In his speech, Martin Luther King said that he had a dream. His dream was that people everywhere would learn to live together without being mean to one another. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed in 1968 because he loved poor people so much. He was given a special funeral in Atlanta, Georgia, where he was born. His body was put in a simple farm cart and pulled slowly by 2 mules to a cemetery. Thousands of people walked behind Martin in a sad, loving parade. On his gravestone were carved these beautiful words: "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last." Martin Luther King wanted to be able to go places together, share food together, and love one another in peace. Because he worked so hard for freedom and helped so many people gain it, we honor him every year on his special day. We call this day Martin Luther King Day, and we say to him, happy birthday, Martin Luther King.
Happy birthday, Dr. King.
Well friends, there you have it. A brief story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King fought for peace among all people, and we will forever remember him for just that. Friends, reading is fundamental, so think smart and read. Happy birthday, Dr. King.